All right, everybody. Our next guest is a very funny comedian whose current album, I Am Not the Hero of This Story, is available now on iTunes and Amazon and is critically acclaimed. She is in her 13th year of her podcast, The Dork Forest, and she also has a podcast with comedian Laurie Kilmartin where they complain and celebrate stand-up comedy. It's called The Jackie and Laurie Show. And here she is right now. Jackie Kashian is with us
That's
right
it.
now. Yes.
Yes.
How
Well
are
played.
you?
Well
Yes.
played.
How you doing now? You're in West Coast. You in L.A.?
Yes. Yes. I'm in Los Angeles. I'm in the very blue collar part of Los Angeles. I'm going to actually turn the AC off so that you can hear me better.
Okay.
And I'm in the valley. I'm in Van Nuys. It's nice. You don't have to dress up to go anywhere. People are normal. It's
That's cool.
it's like the two different parts of Long Island, which I had never known. There until the time I did Governors. I was like, wait, are you guys the fancy? And they're like, we are not. We are not the fancy. We are the normal.
Yes, there's the normal, definitely normal blue collar side of Long Island. All the fancy people are like all gravitate towards like the North Shore. I would say we're on the South Shore.
Right. Okay. Yeah. It's literally it's split up, and it was so funny. I didn't know all kinds of things. I didn't know about Long Island, and then I did the club, and one of them was that Herman Melville was from there, and Walt Whitman.
Yes.
And I forget who said when I got off stage, and I was talking about it on stage, and somebody said, "Hey, most of the people here think that that's the mall. Why don't you just why don't you just do your jokes?" And
yeah, we have the Walt Whitman Mall, and a whole town of
Oh,
the town of Melville has been named after.
right.
Yeah.
And those are famous those are famous American authors. Those are gems.
Yeah.
That the world is super proud.
Yes.
And
and right here from the lovely Long Island.
Yeah, from right where y'all live.
There's another great comedian that a lot of Long Island comedians, a lot of comedians come from here, but a lot of people don't realize Lenny Bruce was from here.
I have a reputation for being sort of controversial and irreverent, and also the semantic bear trap of bad taste.
Yeah,
you know what? I think I do know that because of his album. My favorite bit of Lenny Bruce's, a lot of people don't, and I didn't know anything about him when I first started doing stand-up. I didn't know anything about stand-up, but Lima, Ohio. Have you ever heard the bit about Lima, Ohio? It was about him being trapped in Lima, Ohio for 2 weeks.
Right.
And he met the only Jewish couple who lived in Lima, Ohio. And one of them, like the guy comes up to him after a show and he goes, "So where are you from?" And he goes, "Long Island." And the guy goes, "So you Jewish?" And like there's this awesome weird pause that just it cracks. But my favorite part of it is not that part. It's the part where the guy calls him the next morning, like 14 hours, to ask him because he's going to eat with him. I don't want to ruin it. Go look it up. Lima, Ohio.
Don't bother me. What do you know? Esta quinela, esta caliente recia que esta Tijuana. Don't bother me. Give me the rubber band for my ponytail. That's what
Lenny Bruce.
The great Lenny Bruce, yes, Long Island's own. No, but like you're hearing all these things now in the COVID era of LA and people fleeing and all that kind of stuff. And
people are talking about everybody's leaving. People are fleeing.
Joe Rogan is leaving Los Angeles.
A person like Elon Musk saying no to California.
You love California, but you are seriously considering leaving the state.
So this is what's going on. I am leaving California.
I love the state of California, but they do not want me here.
I, like many others, have gotten out of California.
That is a bit of a lie. You know who's trying to make that a truth though? Real estate agents.
Yeah, they're trying to get everyone to buy them up and make it a buyer's market.
You want to sell your house? You're thinking about moving to North Carolina? I know a lot of guys moving to North Carolina. You moving to Nashville? Where are you going? And I was like, I'm not going anywhere. I live in a 1-story house, which means that I will live here until I die.
Right.
Because that's where old people should live, in a 1-story ticky-tacky. It looks like my house looks like those houses on the Monopoly board. That's what.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. It looks exactly like
that's
that house.
awesome.
and my husband bought it, and then I married him, and now I half own it, and it's worth absolutely more money than it should ever be worth. There's no reason why. It's 966 square feet. I believe it's worth $500,000.
Wow.
Right. I don't know.
It's like Monopoly. It's just like
Right.
Yeah.
We can't go anywhere. I mean, I suppose we could go buy a compound in the middle of Arkansas, but I mean, it's not. Where am I going? I'm not going anywhere.
I guess the comedy scene's pretty much shut down over there too, right? Because we're shut down here. Nothing indoors.
Nothing indoors. A lot of outdoors. A lot of people pretending that there's no stand-up comedy going on. Things that people, like a year ago, the coolest comics in the world would be like, I'm not performing in your backyard. I'm not performing on a drive-in theater. What am I, an animal? And now they're like, who books that? Who books that?
It was the great equalizer in a lot of ways.
Really?
It leveled the playing ground for stand-ups in a lot of ways. Have you seen that? I mean,
I have. I've seen it for myself, just because there's a lot of clubs. Like I work 35 normal years in 35, 45 weeks a year. I try to do 35. I always end up with 42. I'm like, please stay home. Like I've been 7 months with my husband, and this is a year that will go in infamy as the most glorious year of my life. He is a good guy. What a nice man.
There you go. See that? Really you got to know him again.
Yeah. Really interesting. Reintroducing myself to that fella. And so, but the crazy thing is that there's so many clubs that don't, there's plenty of clubs that also don't book me, right? I mean, I work plenty, but there's plenty and that's true of all comics, right? So, since March, I got off the road March 15th, March 17th or 18th, I was doing Zoom shows because I need comedy. Need to stop the voices. Hello, it's me, Jackie Kashian. I'm going to host more Minneapolis comics, wherein we all split the money and get to do stand-up comedy for you who get to stay at home, and we all get to be safe. This is not my real hair. And I'm also working on a new album, and have been for the last 2.5 years, which when I went into quarantine was an hour long and needed 15 minutes of work to bring it down to 45. 7 months later, it's an hour and a half long, and it needs, I have to work it down to 20 minutes of chaff. Anyway, so, I have to say that I've been doing shows, 4 or 5 Zoom shows a week, making some weeks more money than I make headlining on the road.
Wow.
And some weeks not, but it literally depends how much work I'm willing to put into it. Right. And but it's my work, I could put the work in. I've never wanted to be a booker. I've never wanted to work this hard in my life. I just want to go up and tell jokes.
Scoop about Atlantic City. The Monopoly board is named after Atlantic City. Did you know that? Yeah, the Monopoly board. So when you're walking around Atlantic City, you are walking on Boardwalk to like Park Place. And then you see Marvin Gardens, and you see Indiana and Illinois, the red tiles. It's hilarious. So I was walking, you know how I found out? I was almost crushed by a giant shoe.
I change every Sunday. I do a show, and I call it Sunday Services. Sunday come to meeting. Right. And sometimes it's in the morning because I got fans in Australia. And nice. Sometimes it's at night because I got fans in Australia. Whatever. I changed the times because of where people, like some people are in the middle of Europe, some people are in London.
So you're playing for the time zones.
Yeah, I mix it up. So everybody, you can wake up and watch some stand-up if you want. You can wake up at 3 and some people are setting an alarm at 3 in the morning and watching. And I'm like,
that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the other weird thing is I've had probably a core group of about 80 people who come every Sunday. And I'm like, I am working on the same hour and a half. I am so sorry. And they're like, This is fascinating. I get to see it tighten up.
Yeah, right. They're loving the process, and that's something you don't get to see unless you go to the clubs every single night, like as a fan. But now people could actually sit and watch you work on your material and build it and craft it. That's pretty cool.
Right. And the other thing is, there's a lot of people who come to these shows that all they have is internet. Like they live in the middle of Canada. They live in rural Alabama or Arkansas or North Dakota. And they get comedy, like there might be a Mueller run, right? There might be a Tribble or Yoder does a Wednesday right by the Air Force base,
And now, like, did you think that you would have been able to reach these audiences in Australia and worldwide had it not been for this situation?
It's definitely broadened, like I have, it hasn't blown up. Like it's not hundreds of thousands of people, but 5,000 or 6,000 people. It's not 20 grand. It's not 100 grand. I haven't broken 1 million.
Right.
But quite honestly, there's so much work in general that can be niche, right? Like somebody with an Etsy or your eBay where you're like, I got action figures. There's 1 million of them, right? I'm selling them on eBay. And then all of a sudden, hundreds of people that you wouldn't have known. So I think that there's 10,000 people for each and every single person on the planet.
I like that. I gotta find my 10,000.
Exactly. Find your 10 or 11,000 people. Have them give you $10 a year, and then you can sit pretty good.
Yeah. So I think there has been some positives to this scenario where it has enabled us all to be more computer savvy, but also reaching farther audiences. Work on your material. You have more time to kind of craft your stuff, and I think that's cool. And you've been kind of in the podcast game for a long time with the Dork Forest. The
Dork Forest, it's actually the 14th year.
Oh,
I forgot to change that on my website.
Oh.
But it's because the anniversary is in September. And it's just October now. Yeah.
So 14 years doing this, and throughout the years, there've been a lot more podcasts that have been blooming, but now it's been like, everybody's got one. Is that something that, how do you feel about that?
I know. Somebody, there was a friend of mine said, that other podcast is just the Dork Forest, but with a different host or with a twist. And I was like, because I just saw one that had a great twist. I was like, well, I can't say that I invented interviewing nerds about what they love, Right. And the definition, of course, of nerds being so broad. Like this week, it's boats. That's that's the coolest thing in the world. It's Lisa Curry talking about boats.
Whoever the boat captain is just steering, and you're managing the sails, and they're shouting at you, and you're like, ah!
Next week is a true. It's Amber Preston talking about church cookbooks, and then the following week it's a guy in Houston, Texas, talking about his 3D printer, and he prints minifigs for Gloomhaven.
Oh,
anyway,
wow. Yeah.
So I mean, it's traditional nerd stuff, and then it's also absolutely anything. It could be the fact that you collect bees or whatever, but I don't. I do genuinely think that there's 10 or 11,000 people for every artist and people that can support that,
Right.
Because like my Sunday shows are $5. That's what I was like, give me something like $5. I'll send you the link. It'll all work out. Everyone has $5.
Right.
Everyone who has the internet, shall we say, has $5 that they spend on a cup of coffee or that they're willing to light on fire by watching me work on a different 40 minutes that I did last week, where I worked on the other 40 minutes.
So how's that work? When you're doing the Sunday show, are you on a set, or are you doing it right where you are now, or how's it like?
Right where I am now. I stand up.
That's cool.
And then there's the background right there. It's got my name on it right there. See just mine, whatever. Anyway, so but I stand up. I got a mic. I don't use the gaming headset.
Right.
And then but my new favorite thing, because it's so lonely, right? It's obviously, we all have to be able to walk out of our homes when this is over. whole people, an entire human being, please. I would
Not
like
just this. Nobody knows what the bottom half looks like anymore.
Oh, you don't want to see the bottom half of whatever's happening here. There's been some eating problems where I'm just like, okay. So, but the weird thing is, so I've been inviting. Initially, I would just invite one comic that I wanted to see what they were working on, and also Misery Loves Company. I wanted more people to do Zoom shows, and so, but now I have 2 people doing 10s, and then the younger comics, the comics that are coming up, have been showing up at the shows, going, I do stand up, and I'm like, wow, I'm now a place where you can come and hang out and spend $5 to get in, and then tell me and hope for a set. And I'm like, oh Christ, what have I done to myself here? Except for that, I can give somebody 5 minutes. What, it's going to kill me? I can get, if I give one of the up and comers 5 minutes, we all sit through it. Everybody has to learn how to do stand-up comedy somewhere.
There you go.
And then I have 2 people I want to see do 10 minutes each. And then I work on my 40, and the same 60 or 30 or 80 people, whoever comes, right? They get to see someone else besides me work on other material.
That's pretty cool. And like you said about new comics, it's got to be weird if you're literally like your very first stand-up ever was on Zoom. Like that, there's got to be a whole new breed of comedians.
Hello, yes, testing, test, 1, 2, testing, 1, 2, 1, 2. Hi, everyone. I see everyone logged on here. Welcome to the Friday Night Live Jam Sessions.
There's so many weird things where you're like, this is the time when you want to do something, and you're going to do it over Zoom. Think about like kids who are going to kindergarten for the first time.
Yeah.
This is it. Think about people who are like trying to get sober, going to like an AA meeting. And this is it.
Oh, stay safe. Everybody stay safe. Everybody staying safe. Oh.
The poor bastards who do music, because of the lag, you can't jam.
Right, yeah.
You can only do solo work unless you know how to edit like a bastard, right?
Yeah, or really configure the mics or something. But yeah. There's a lot to it if you want to put music's rough on Zoom. Yeah, because
you got a guitar in the background, so it looks like you play.
Oh, this is this background is actually Wayne's World. This is the Wayne's World.
Oh, look at that shark. It's did you get the new version of Zoom? Because my current favorite background, they have these new things called filters.
Right.
And here's my new favorite thing. Mid-century chair, Don. Mid-century chair. That's ridiculous.
For no reason. There's a chair there. You gotta love it. I gotta
mid-century chair. Let's do it.
We gotta figure out how to get somebody sitting in that chair.
Yeah, I want to superimpose a Lego.
You kind of touched on a little bit, but is there a difference between dorks and nerds and geeks? Is it all the same, or is it's all the same? They're all the same.
It's whatever word you're using. The reason I called it the Dork Forest was back in the late 90s, and in my 2003 half-hour special, Comedy Central. Find it. Anyway, if you go to my Instagram, I have a clip, but I don't think I have the Dork Forest clip. I used to do a bit about, it was on like, I think my second album. So I'm willing to hang out with all people. I love people. I'll hang out with nerds and dorks and geeks and whatever. But I found a line in the sand where I had to stop, and then the setup was, how deep into the Dork Forest do I have to go to find someone I wouldn't hang out with? And then I list many things, and then I tell whatever the joke happens. But the Dork Forest made me laugh. Just the idea that there would be something called a Dork Forest. Hi, I'm Jackie Kashian, and I'm your guide on this expedition into the Dork Forest.
What's your dorkiest thing? What are you really into?
I love. I am. The thing is it's always nice when it's kind of embarrassing, when you're kind of like, I'm sorry, I love this. But so I love things, and like once Kathy Ladman was like, I would talk about knitting, except for that knitting is cool. And I said, no, it isn't. But okay.
Right. See, if you really love something, you think it's cool. Yeah.
Right. The thing that I love that I know is not cool are romance novels.
Let me tell you something. People get on stage all over the world. Comics do, and they talk about their love of porn and drugs, and audiences are like, interesting, fascinating. I get up, I admit that I occasionally read some poorly written prose, and there is some judgment.
That's not cool. It turns out. What it is, though, is it's super empowering, John. I don't know if you know this, but romance novels are written for women about women. And they're by women. So it's all just a nice, anyway.
Only with Mills and Boone will you discover your kind of romance.
In other news, some of them are super sexy. Okay, so it's like porn. It's no different than people who like
it. It is
porn.
kind of like I remember a long time ago. Actually, my friend's mother had a big collection of romance novels, and she had a bookcase in the garage full of them, and they're all paperbacks, well thumbed through. She must have read each one numerous times, and we read one, and wow, we were me and my friends, we couldn't believe it.
Yeah. You're like, wow, this is a nice lady, and she's reading about this business.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And they take some hardcore stuff, but they write so beautifully about how hardcore it is. It's a weird blend.
And some of them are better written than other ones. I mean, the thing is they're all at this juncture, like when I first started reading them. And I would like to say, Katie Bachman, 8th grade, thanks a lot for costing me thousands of dollars and making me never finish Moby Dick. So Long Island, shout out. But I will say this though, is that his mom had them because there are some that you keep and reread, and they're either funny, well written, or they're super good sex scenes, and those are the reasons. That's the reasons you keep them, and you do the reread. I probably own 50. I've probably bought 6,000, and so sometimes you throw them out. Sometimes, like if I'm on the road, I'll read them, like between 3 and 6 on the road. You're sitting in your hotel room, taking a nap, and then and you're reading it. And if it's super bad, you skim, you get to the end, you're like, and then I just whip it across the room toward the garbage. And then I hope that the person who cleans the room likes that, because Maria Bamford used to try to buy me romance novels, and I was like, it would be like me trying to buy someone porn. You can't do it.
Right, you can't.
Very specific. You know what the ones I like? This isn't cool at all. I like historical romance novels set in England between 1790 and 1890. And so I don't know anything about this. It literally, it was created, Jane Austen in 1815 wrote those books that have been made into movies over and over and again, Pride and Prejudice and all that.
Right. Yeah.
She didn't write Regency romance, historical romance novels. She wrote a romance novel of her time, and it wasn't a romance novel. It was just a slice of life. It created a genre. It was in 1920. This woman, Georgette Heyer, decided she wanted to write like Jane Austen. So she set them in 1815. And I'm sure Jane Austen, who is dead, of course, by this time, was like, the hell is she doing? Like, I mean, why don't you write about 1920? What are you doing?
Right.
And Georgette Heyer wrote from like 1925 to 1970, and then she died. I own all of her movies, all of her books. They are in this bookcase.
Wow. I never I knew that there was a romance novel that people love them, and there was a it's a thing, you know what I mean?
It's a thing.
But I didn't know now it's more specific. England, Victorian times.
Oh, they can be about anything. Did you want a bisexual vampire who falls in love with a non-binary whatever it is, who wants to dress up like a rabbit, someone has written that book for you.
Do you ever go off and like read a different romance novel set somewhere else? No, you're strict about it.
You know, Audible hired me to write essentially. They wanted me to write a funny romance novel, but because it's Audible, owned by Amazon, and Amazon makes $1 gajillion on romance novels, they were like, it can't be mean, it has to be nice.
Right.
And I was like, okay, and they're like, that's why we're asking you, because we know you love them. And so I made the job twice as hard as it had to be. But if I ever do write this thing, what I would have to write, this is what I wanted to write, which is why it didn't work, right?
Okay.
Because I made the job way too hard. But the thing is you've seen Galaxy Quest, right?
Yeah, great movie.
By the sons of Warvan, I shall avenge you.
Such a great movie.
It was.
So here's what it is, though. It is a Star Trek movie that makes fun of Star Trek and is Star Trek.
Right.
and loves the fans and loves the genre and is good at both of those two things. And that's what I would want to write as a romance novel. Well, hell of a bar, right? I mean, that. And then I tried to turn it into a historical romance. I have never written a romance. I've never written a novel.
Right.
I want to have written a novel.
Right.
It turns out they just paid me for the spec, and I took that money. And then I was like, and then they read the spec, and they were like, "Yeah, this isn't it." And I was like, "You are correct. You are correct."
Did you set it in England and everything? You like?
Yes. It was terrible. I have a new idea for it, that if I ever do write the Galaxy Quest of romance novels, it's going to be Elon Musk and J.K. Rowling fall in love, and it's on an island off of Vietnam for some reason.
I would buy that. I would watch that. I would do everything.
Right, and they both become better people. That's what happens. They both become better people.
What is that actually happened?
Well, this is great, Jackie. I love that had the opportunity to talk with you. This was great.
Thanks for having me.
And I learned so much about you. Now I'm going to go dig up and find a romance novel about England and get into it.
Sure. If you go to my Twitter, my pinned tweet, actually, I ripped my DVD, which is not my last album, Hero, but the album before that, which was called This Will Make an Excellent Horcrux. I ripped that DVD and I put it on YouTube unlisted because I do sell the DVD, but it felt like I ripped it in March and I just posted it because people could use some comedy.
Yes.
So feel free, if you want, to go to the pinned tweet on my Twitter. Anybody can just watch it's an hour of stand-up, and hopefully you enjoy it. And yeah.
And that's on your Twitter?
So that's on my Twitter.
Jackie Kashian.
Yeah. That's all it is.
Kashian
It's just at Jackie Kashian on Twitter.
And then also go to her website and the Dork Forest, and also the
Jackie and Laurie show.
Jackie and Laurie show. So you got a lot going on, and the Sunday show. I think everybody
and the Sunday Zoom.
I would love that, because a lot of people watching this are stand-up fans who would love to watch you work in your craft. That would be terrific.
Oh my God. Sign up for the email list on JackieKashian.com. Do what you got to do. But whatever it is, just take care of yourselves. Take care of somebody in front of you. You can do it. I believe in all of you.
Yes, and we believe in you, Jackie. Good luck with everything. You're awesome, and I appreciate you taking the time. Jackie Kashian, everyone.
My name is Silvio Dante. My friend Don Sil, he's got a great show. What's it called?
Put up, stand up, and shut up? No, put up, shut up, and stand up. I keep getting that wrong.
Put up, what is it again?
Put up, shut up, and stand up.
I don't know the name of it, but everybody else does.
Put up, shut up, or stand up. Right? Put up, shut up, stand up. Put up, stand up, and shut up.
We'll start over.
Put up, stand up, shut up.
Put up, shut up, and stand up. You gotta watch Put Up, Shut Up, and Stand Up with Don Sills. We just had a fucking blast.
That's what I thought. Put up, shut up, stand up. That's what I was gonna say.